Man, that's been a long time.
Oh man, that's beautiful.
A long
That's beautiful.
time.
Yeah.
Hello, everybody. Welcome. Welcome back to Third Eye Edify. George Mesa here, and I could not possibly be more excited to have on my good old friend, Bakithi Kumalo. You are the man. I don't know what else to say. The intro shouldn't even be needed, but if you don't know who this person is, you've heard his bass lines on so many recordings. Some of the most important bass lines and some of the most important music. And we're going to get into all of that stuff. And hopefully we'll get a little bit of the backstory. How did this all happen? What is it like to be a legend? I can't wait. I can't wait to get into it.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome to the show.
Hey man, Julian, thank you, George, man. It's been a long time, my friend. It's been a long time.
It
I
really
remember when was that? Like in the 80s, late 80s, somewhere in 90s when we met.
maybe a little later, maybe like 2001.
Yeah, 2001. Yeah.
Right? Because we had met with Ralph at the Guitar Shack,
At the
right?
Guitar Shack. Yeah, just outside Port Jefferson.
Yep.
Yeah, man. So, I'm just really following every day, really pretty much my stuff, what I'm doing, since the beginning in South Africa, when I started, it was like really moving forward, and what I had in my mind was like plan A. There's no B, because might not happen, so
Yeah.
I stay with the A, and good things happen when you have a plan and you stay with it, and so. And now recordings for me, it's like really, it's project that when I've been, be invited to record something, I show up in the studio and have an open mind, like, okay, this is something I don't know about the song, and sometimes you don't know the people in the studio. If it's one of those sessions where, you have a lot of people in the studio. So you kind of read what's going on and be part of it. And so most of the stuff that I do, I just think about what's happening in the moment. and the next day could be a different session, different, project. It's either jazz or fusion or whatever, And then when I do that too, I think about my family because, I have kids. Now I have grandchildren. So I want to show up in the studio and think like, this is a job. I got to do it right. And I got to get a check at the end of it. And then, so I can support my kids.
Right.
It's business pretty much, I'm trying to say that. Yeah. Business. And also too, you learn in business because the music is different. Every project that I play, like Heavy Hancock's project and Randy Bracker's, and then in between Eileen Ivers, just a bunch of different people, and then tours too. And the more I do all, it's really I get a chance to understand, everything. Okay, tours, you approach tours different than the studio because on tours you are on the road with a bunch of people and every night when you play, like when I play every night, I challenge myself. Like I have to practice the songs because I'm playing the same songs over and over, but I gotta find a way of playing that, well, have a good tone, simple stuff,
Right.
you
Yeah.
know. But it's all something that I work with it. So I just never stop working on it because once you're on the road, you're on the job, so you gotta stay with it.
Yeah. Yeah. And a lot of times you don't get to really use your amplifier on tour either. You just got to use what's there. And
Yeah,
speaking of tone, you got to just hope
yeah,
that
but I've
usually.
been blessed because of my sponsors, like my bass companies. Everywhere I go, I have the same product,
Wow.
because I understand, and too now I control things like unlike something that's simple, that's not gonna clash with my instrument because many tones it just causes a lot of confusion trying to figure out what is your sound of your instrument.
Sure.
So for me now, I want to make sure that the bass, the preamps, everything sounds right. And then the amp, just give me the sound. And then I'll do everything on the bass, to get a tone on the bass, the right tone. Or sometimes use something like this. This is the Phil Jones. This is a DI, and it's a head as well. What I use my amp, it's got all these knobs, so it's easier.
Right.
When I have a DI, they just connect DI to whatever, and then I have my sound that doesn't clash with my bass. It's all flat. I
Right.
put it flat, and then the bass, you play around with the pickups,
Right. Yeah. There's you got a preamp on the bass usually, and then you have one on the amp also. It can get very messy very
Yeah,
quickly.
it get messy. So it's either you get a dry amp. Now, that's why I like Phil Jones. From so many years I've been using Phil Jones. And when I play big stadiums, the bass is very clear. It's very clear. It's very dry. It's not
Yep.
muddy because sometimes other people they use tens, four tens. You get
Yep.
like massive bass out of control. Sometimes when you have tons of microphones on stage,
Yep.
they pick up the bass. So with Phil Jones, it's small speakers, like 7-inch speakers, sometimes 5-inch speakers. I use the 5-inch speakers, and then the tone you get on the bass to add bottom or to add mid, but the amp is very clear. You can hear it. It's not fighting each other. So Phil Jones' stuff is it's really, I mean, for me, it's good. Then the house sound, the guy can balance it for the
Do
big
whatever he
speakers.
wants.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Rather instead of lowering your fader, he'll actually give you some sound, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Really. And
Now,
I've got my briefcase. There's a Phil Jones briefcase. Oh, it's just out of camera.
oh,
Right
the
here.
briefcase, yeah, the briefcase,
Was
I
that the
like
first time you played? You played my briefcase, 20 years ago, 19 years ago. Was that the first time you played a Phil Jones?
that. That was the first time.
Wow, man. I just knew it. I knew it was the right thing. And people would be skeptical of the 5-inch speakers, but they're pretty bassy. It's loud. It's really
Yeah,
good.
and then too, you have to know how to control it because
Hmm.
you think like it's a small speaker, you're gonna try to push it with
Right.
low ends.
Right.
You don't get the presence because now the speakers, when you close, you hear different, but when you move forward, you hear different. So you have to depend where you're sitting to get your sound,
Right.
because the distance it counts. If it's behind you, you can't hear it because it just hits your back and whatever. So, but you have to be away from it And then now Phil Jones has the thing is called the earbox.
Oh yeah,
So
the
the
in-ear monitor,
earbox,
right?
yeah, it's like ear monitor. You just put it here, and it just give
Oh, it's
you.
like a actual like speaker monitor. It's not
Yeah,
in ear.
let me see. I have this.
Yeah, I've heard it. I saw that. I'm always interested in how they sound. They must be amazing. I wasn't
Earbox.
aware that Phil Jones made one. That's cool.
Yeah, so earbox. This is the earbox.
Nice. So you get your own personal monitor, really.
Yeah, so like on stage, you just listen. Now it gives you the bass, the tone that you want to hear.
Right.
Exactly. Your tone, and you just have fun with it.
I don't think people realize how hard it is to hear yourself when you're playing bass. And they're thinking, well, you've got the loudest speaker. Why don't you hear yourself? You don't. Bass waves take a long time to get to their regular size. You don't hear it. You don't realize how loud it is, too. A lot of bass players that don't know, they just turn up because they can't hear themselves well. And then they're way too loud for the crowd. And then again,
Yeah,
the sound man just brings you down.
yeah, yeah. It's very important on stage. But I played with, I play for master, somebody who knows about how to control the sound, because if somebody's singing, you have a lot of lyrics in the story, but if it's chaotic on stage, then it's a problem. But playing for Paul has been just amazing, because you play to listen. You don't play
Right.
to just because you know your part, but it's all about really listening. What is the drummer doing? Are you
Yep.
doing stuff that's gonna get in the way of the drummer or the keyboard player? So my job was to say, okay, give them the foundation. And when the time comes for me to do something, I can do something, because everybody knows that, that space, you got to leave that space for me to do stuff.
Bass requires space. And it's something I
Oh,
try
yeah.
to tell anyone I've ever, like, what do you think is the most important thing you didn't know when you were young playing bass? I said, well, note length, actually.
Yeah.
The control of note length is such a
Yeah.
big deal. And you know better than anyone else. Your pocket is unreal, but you also have you just know right away what you're doing. It's just perfect. You've recorded so many different styles. And
Yeah, yeah, you listen, you listen. Each songs, as a bass player for me, I think, okay, what the song needs, what is busy in the song,
yeah,
what is low end in the song. Maybe they want like the drums that's gonna be really dominating, and
right,
so for me, it's okay. Just think, okay, what are you gonna do? Okay, you bring the tone that's much, or slapping that's needed because it's much clearer, brighter sound, or
right.
percussive kind of thing. So you kind of read what's happening, and just work with it. And some songs need fretless because there's a melody. Maybe you have to play with the vocal or
Mm,
something. So you gotta have that sound. The song asks you to do that.
right.
And those things I just think about. Sometimes I don't know what I'm doing. I think like I
Well, a
think
lot of
like
times you don't even know the people when you show up to the gig sometimes, right? You just met them and then you got to make it happen.
yeah, 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 yeah. And sometimes I bring all my basses in the studio if it's needed, because then I can say, oh, let me try this one. The sound is much better for this one. And we
Right.
can do some stuff. But it's all about being in the business, being in the moment. And then when the project is finished, I'm done. Sometimes I hear the song and I'm like, wow, that's a nice bass line. And then find out later that that was me playing.
Like, oh, that was me.
Yeah, yeah, because I just
That's funny.
I record it, and then I never get a chance to hear it. Then I
Right.
hear in the radio and I'm like, wow, we got similar style or the tone, but it's me,
It was you.
Yeah, and then I try to create too, because you don't want to be somebody else. You want to have your voice by doing certain things, or your sound, or some things that you can repeat
Sure.
every project. That's you.
Yes.
The approach, I do a little bit less slapping, and the tone, my tone of slapping, I use more percussive stuff than.
Right.
So, that's no matter what project I do, it's always going to be there,
I
because
believe
that's
it,
the
man.
voice.
I believe it. And it's not necessarily the instrument. Let's say Jocko Jamerson, let's say you had all of their equipment. It wouldn't really matter. You really have to have their touch, and you have to have their feel and whatever their brain does when they're moving around. It's not the same for you. And I think that, and by the way, I know that this was once your bass, and that now you had the Washburn sponsorship, whenever, and
Yeah.
now you're with Kiesel, right? You have the Kiesel sponsorship, and you've been sticking with that company for a long time now.
Yeah, like I try to stay with what works, but at the same time, I try different other product. There's so many great product out there,
Absolutely.
and then I work with Roland, and also too I play the aerophone,
Right.
the wind instrument, and some keyboards, when I write my own music. And so, I try a lot of things, the kissels, and then I have some other basses that, it depends on the song too. Sometimes this song need like a woody kind of sound,
Yeah.
and this song needs like a fiberglass, but the neck is maple or, rosewood, because the song is a little bit darker. So I need to have, so all those things. And thank God I have all those basses that can deliver that. And all these sponsors are my friend, from
Right.
Washburn. All these guys are my really good friends. I see them every time we go to NAM show and everything. But
That's great,
it's
man. I
it's
mean,
it's
you,
all it's all it's all. And then too, that helps me to understand the science of the bass. Not just playing, but understand the science, how to build your own. Now I work with Carla, the ukulele
yeah,
bassist, which is I came up with the pick guard because I feel like with the pick guard it gives you a better tone because it's much warmer. It's not just the wood, it
sure.
doesn't resonate too much, so you can control and get nice sound and the strings and everything. So it's beautiful. I play to build now instead.
Incredible. Yeah, you have an ear for that now. Like, what would be great as you're playing, right? What would be great if this had a pick guard here? Yeah, that's
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, 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 yeah. Like because you want to know everything about the instrument, not just playing, thinking, making money, but you want to build to be an educator later, because once
Yep.
you get it down as a science and you can, be able to share with the young people and they can
Yeah,
take it to another level.
absolutely. And and you really do have a very specific voice, even though you've with your solo albums especially, you've been able to transcend some of that and do more of your own thing. But you're really known for your fretless work, obviously from Graceland. It's
Yeah,
unavoidable at this point, right? You basically have your life as before Graceland and after Graceland, right? I mean, am I right about that?
you're correct.
You
Yeah,
have BG and AG instead of, right?
absolutely,
That's you.
absolutely. Yeah.
But can we get into where it all started and stuff? I'm curious if we can really flesh out some of what got you to this point. I think a lot of people have read interviews and heard you talk about the Graceland and after, but I want to get a little bit of both if we can.
Yeah, well, everything started in South Africa, like when I was about 8 years old, to discover the music and see people playing in front of me, especially my uncle.
Hmm.
My uncle was always playing saxophone and man, very interested this every time. And so I just stay with it. And then sometimes weekends, my uncle will bring his friends to practice at their house. And yeah, and then just watch them and talk to them. And just every time they practice at the house, I'm like sitting there listening, listening, listening. And then every year, 9 years old, 10 years old now, I ask questions. Hey, what are you doing? What is this? Blah, blah, blah. Especially the bass player because he was playing the big bass,
Right.
upright bass. And so I'll ask him, what is this? Asking him about strings and everything. And he will say that all the time. He will tell me, the names. And it became a game. Every time he comes, he says, okay, can you tell me the string? And then I'll let you play a little bit,
Right. That's
I say
great.
the wrong one, and he says, oh, you failed already. Try another one. But, it just happened. And, like I would really, every year, every weekend, I look forward for that.
Right.
And my uncle saw that I was very interested. And by 12 years old, I was like, hey, give me that. And, like, and then you teach me also to, now he bought another bass that's like a regular bass.
Yeah.
And so I just watched him one time. He had too much to drink, and I told my uncle, I can do the gig. I'm 12 years old. 12, 13 years old, and my uncle says, "Really, you can do this? All right, let's go." And I play, but people they really enjoy just to see me playing,
Sure.
even it's terrible. But for me, it was like, hey, look, this is what I want to do.
Right.
Now I'm 12, I'm getting older and I'm getting stronger. But now to learn how to play the music without having an instrument, not even get a chance to play. So it was a tough one. So I have to go every part of the township in South Africa, Soweto.
Right.
Every time if there's somebody tells me there's a band practicing there, I go there and find this band and then come in and just listen. They don't even know who I am, just sit
Right.
down there, listen, listen, listen. Some band, I said, hey, I can play a little bit, they're playing songs that I can play. Because now I'm listening. I depend on listening because, I couldn't read music. I couldn't really know anything but listening. So I can find the bass. And I just stay with that every day. It was about find the bass, find the bass, find the bass. And then I'm getting older, like 14, 15 years old, and I joined the bands. We go to Zululand. We got stuck in Zululand. I'm like 15 years, and I got stuck for like 16 months.
Wow.
But then I had to learn how to live in Zululand because they don't have music stores.
Oh, really?
And everything is like, yeah, no Wi-Fi or nothing, no telephones. Oh man, we
Yeah.
got stuck there. It got really complicated, but I had to use something and know the local people and just listen to what they're playing and sometimes get a piece of bread or
Yeah.
something to eat for the day. Every day, man. Every day was a hassle for 16 months, and I got a chance to go back home. It was tough at home. My mother was like, "That's it, no more music," because
Oh, now
she
after that.
watched me all this time, listening and watching.
Right.
Now I'm like 16, 17 years old, and I'm going crazy.
Oh,
But
man.
it didn't end there. I got another opportunity to go to Zimbabwe. And then we got stuck in Zimbabwe for like 8 months, and it's like a different country. The music is different, it's the Shona music. So I'm a little bit older, like 18 years old, and I learned too because Zimbabwe was like Africa. I was like really around Africa and learning a lot of African grooves without speaking with local people because I didn't understand their language. But
Wow.
music, yeah, it was about just listening for me, and I listened, end up playing with the Zimbabwean bands, because what am I gonna do? 8 months stuck. So I play with the local band and learn the Shona music, blah blah blah, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. After eight
Wow.
months, back to Johannesburg, and then I started to get sessions. I'm like, in the 20s, and now I play really. Now my chops are like coming.
Right. Amazing.
They're coming, and then now I'm getting hired to play with the jazz musicians. My thing also too was when you play, you have to be connected with musicians. Try to get as many as involved as possible
Right.
because everybody they can share a piece of bread with you. They have a session, they call you, you play. So I started to get connected, playing with a lot of people now when I got back in Johannesburg, and gigs, jazz clubs, this and that, just playing. And for me, it was great information and a great way to get stronger until 1985, the Graceland. Like I'm like the late 20s now. I get an opportunity to play with Paul, and I was like, bring it on.
Yeah, of course. Especially it was
You
so
know,
unique.
yeah, I worked on it. And then I'm playing the fretless, and me and the fretless we connecting. Fretless is like, you better get a tone,
Yeah, you
because the
really got to
fretless
listen.
it's all about the tone. You have to listen to it and sing it. Don't force it. You force it, or you're in trouble. And people they like vibrating too much in,
Yeah,
you know.
well, it's way too much of this. No, you're right, but you are singing. You have to be able to sing. You have to audiate in your mind what you want, and that's
Yeah,
the best part about it. But it's risky. It's a risky thing on the stage.
it's
You
it's
be very
very
careful.
it's very risky. And then, like it's like playing a violin or cello. You can't just play and then all over because the tonation is a problem and then the tone is all over the place. You have to now get connected with the fretboard. When you do all these things, you're connected, you can slide a little bit, or not even sliding, you're just moving your finger, but you get it's a certain, tone.
Yeah,
It's a
right.
connection with it. And for me, it was about just master that. Don't worry about playing a lot of notes.
Right. There's
Once
everyone. There's plenty of stuff going. There's percussion. There's guitar. There's keyboard. The other
yeah,
16ths are covered. Yeah, you got your spot.
yeah. Just play, get a sound, and stay with it. And made it simple enough. Like the Graceland for me was about, there's so many people playing, so my thing I have to be melodical,
Right.
and I have to have a good sound, not too thick, no, just right. And then the engineer, he listened to my stuff and exactly got that.
Right. You got the
Same
feels.
thing on tour too. When we play on tour, like on stage, is the same sound.
It is. I heard
No,
more stuff
I
from that
don't
era.
sacrifice. Yeah, I don't say I wanna play a little better than what I did on the record. No, I stay there. I stay there because hey, there was nothing wrong with it. If I
No,
tried to
well,
change it,
I think millions of people agree, by the way. And, it's a lot like reggae where you actually had your own melody a lot of times too. So it was part of it. It was all part of it. And,
no.
I want to backtrack for a second too, because I know I want to get more into how Graceland was recorded and stuff, because I particularly resonate with how Paul Simon wants to not punch anything in. He wants to do it all in one take as a full band. And you can really hear it. I want to make sure that I'm not wrong about saying that. But I want to get back to something even more at the heart of everything, because of where you're from
Yeah,
and the idea that you need to hear fast more than you need to play fast as a bass player. You need to hear fast, and you already had some natural talent. There's no question about that. But being where you're from, the drum is just such a core element of your culture, the spiritual side of things, and musically too. How much was drumming part of your life, and how much of an influence was it on you in general as an instrumentalist, as a bass player?
it all works together. It starts with the drums because you listen to where the rhythm is. So you're not in a different village than the other guy. In the same village, and the drum will give you the stuff. So you have to find out where you have to come in on one or the end of one.
Right.
And or either you listen to the hi-hats, you stay with the hi-hats. Yeah, there's a lot to divide, between the bass drum and what he's playing. So there's a lot of stuff because two is not just playing, you're counting, everything is, it's about that. But also the rhythm is it's very important the way you play.
For sure, for sure. And was there a spiritual or religious side to the drumming in general? Was there certain beats that represented the day or a deity or something along those lines? Were drum beats representative of other things as well growing up?
Yeah, pretty much, like the beats, some grooves, it's like, the traditional grooves. Like when people hear that, it's something that makes them feel better
Right, healing,
spiritually.
healing.
Yeah, it's healing, and then it became like a national anthem of that kind of rhythm that you have to play that way. It's like,
Mm,
you go to Cameroon, they have a 9/8, the 9/8. It's what, you know, help them to get through some difficulties, life changes or ceremonies, whatever,
right.
you know. So like the South Africa, it's like that. There's like happy music where people they just feel so free. When you play that groove, everybody's dancing. They're not thinking about how great you're playing, but how amazing the music.
Sure.
It's not about one person, but it's about everybody understand.
You're
You know,
right.
and
Yeah.
then you too as a player, you try to get into that spirit of the people. Like I'm just playing the song, but
Right.
you get into that, you become like one people.
It does do that. And I think there's a big problem, unfortunately, in this culture in USA and a few other Western cultures, where people, not necessarily musicians, but I think everyone's a musician, and I'm sure you can agree on some level. But the kind of music that people are looking for, they just want the lyrics, it seems, to reinforce that, oh, I do feel like crap. I do hate my life for a reason. This person hates their life too. And it's totally removed from the dance aspect. It's totally removed from anything but almost reassurance that they're right, that they're just going to work their life and they're just going to die unhappy. It seems to be a really big theme lately, and it's so bothersome because what you mentioned about the dancing, I think, is the most important part. It's actually why I threw this book up here, the world history of the dance, because it's pretty amazing, and
Yeah.
there's a big element of that. This is why most music of most cultures is very simple. A whole village can play it. It doesn't matter if you grew up,
Yeah.
mastering piano or harp. And maybe we can talk about how much accordion was available, to your ears at a young age too. I know you've mentioned that in the past in previous interviews. Was the accordion a big part of at least
Well,
your influence or your culture?
yeah, like he has some tradition, like, the Sutu tradition and Zulu, they play the Cosentino one, the round one.
Right, I've seen it.
They play because the sound was like, that was the sound that was connecting with the people. And, some different tradition people, they play the big accordion, like the Sutu people, and they do the chants, and they have like, a big oil can with some rubber the top, and then they play that thing to give the sound, and with the bottle caps around. That was the sound that they were looking for. That can give them that happiness and and life and move forward, because it's going to be a long day and it's going to be a long years, and it gets harder every time.
Yeah.
But you stay with your tradition, and whatever the ceremonies, things that you do, that keeps you going, that the generations have to follow that in order to survive at least hundreds of years, like other people.
You're right.
But
It is
it's
survival.
all that, and me, I'm very fortunate because I was surrounded by all these cultures. Even during the apartheid, like my time, it was really bad because the system was brutal to the people, and everything was so difficult. But there was a beauty also of that tradition music, but I couldn't speak the language
Right.
because we were not connected that way. But we see each other every day, but we don't know each other every day. So
Wow.
there was a
Music
lot
was
of
the bridge.
the music was a bridge, because then I can learn the groove and go to the studio and I'm like, let me try this
Uh-huh.
stuff they were doing on the vocal, and it works. So that means I'm connected with them. I just gotta learn more about them in order to move forward and respect them. And so I played with all the local traditional people and just learning from them. Because
It's
I
a
wanted to
sim
get connected with them. For me, it's personal. It's not just really playing, because I never went to school. I just make my own school.
Right. You made your own. I think a lot of some of the greats have that story to tell. That like I just listened, like went and listened to as much as I could. I played with as many as I could, and
Yeah,
then you get your own thing going, and you have the history. Usually, when a player has a status like yours, where you're world renowned legend, you know the history. You're not just some lucky guy who just happens to be good at bass. You understand and appreciate every bass line that you play. You know where it's coming from. You
yeah,
know what it is, and
yeah.
that's a big part of what makes you you. Really, it's amazing, and that's what makes all humans humans, right? It's all of your experience, but you need that musically too. That's why when people try to sell like a get good overnight music course, it's absolutely impossible. It really
No,
is
it's,
just
it's, it's,
impossible.
it's it's a journey. It's a journey. And then, too, you have to survive playing music.
Yeah.
You have to survive, but first you start by learning how do you want to survive.
Right.
We just got back from South Africa 2 days ago, or yes, 2 days ago. And I was in a place where I used to practice when I was young, and then sometimes I would walk and take a cab. And I was teaching my son. My son, he lives in the same house that I used to practice,
Wow.
and now I'm coming back almost 40 years later. And I was teaching my son, like, look, this is where I grew up, and you remember the street, and I show him some stuff. It's just so amazing. But I never forgot those people that they saw me every time carrying the bass and going
Yeah.
to take a cab, going to a rehearsal studio session, and they keep pushing me like, wow, we have somebody like that who's consistent, because I was never a guy like playing dice or standing in
Yeah.
the corner, and just hustling. But I was doing stuff. When I'm not walking, they cannot see me because I'm in the house
Because you're
practicing.
practicing. Yep.
Yeah, yeah. And then when I get out and I respect them, and they ask me, hey, where you playing? And I become that guy popular. And then a few years later, I was on the big billboard, like when you leave Johannesburg, you're going to Soweto, there's like a bridge, and there was a big billboard with my face in it,
Wow.
advertising one of the alcohol thing, it was a beer,
Yeah.
and with my bass, and they put me on that because they know this guy, man, we know him from the
Right.
beginning. Now, going back to
Wow.
South Africa, I meet people that they know my journey, and these two guys and a lady, they're like, wow, you know, you made it. We watch you grow and doing this stuff. And for me, it's like, oh, wow. I didn't really pay attention about what they're doing. They're watching me, but now they see that, yeah, I did some stuff and I stay consistent. And even today, you know, still doing that because it's a journey. You don't say just because you know a few notes and say, ah, man, I'm done. I'm great. You know.
Yeah. Right. I made it. Right. It doesn't
No,
matter.
no, no,
It's
no,
not
no.
enough.
For me, when the market calls to work with people, and people love to work with me, and it doesn't matter what kind of music, but I'm just like, hey, give me a song, let me play. I got my studio, I'm
Right.
set up, I got my setup, and I just record stuff for people and send it,
That's
doing
cool, man.
recording at home, teaching, and so now all the knowledge that I've learned, I can pass it over and help, young people. Sometimes we talk about the bass adjustment, how to get a bass sound beautiful, how comfortable you can play things you want to play. So you have to maintain, take care of it. I use
Right.
spray, I have all kinds of stuff. I'm like really, I fix my instrument so that when
Right.
I go
Right.
to the gig, I don't expect to have like problems,
Of course. Yeah. You have to at least be able to adjust the height of the strings and do other things. Otherwise,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
get really screwed fast. It can happen
Yeah,
really,
yeah,
really
yeah.
easily.
So you're always thinking, it's always music, even if you don't play it, but you're thinking what to do, with the instrument.
For
So
sure,
for me, it's
man.
a commitment, man. It's a
It's
commitment.
incredible,
Now,
man.
I'm a director of the East End Arts. I teach young kids in Long Island, and they come in with their instruments, and I teach them how to really take care of the instrument because, this could be a business for them. They can see the world like I did. I mean, I use myself as an example.
Sure.
I did this right now. I got on private jets and fly all over the world and see the world because of this instrument. So this instrument can carry you all the way if you do it right. And
That's
the
right.
kids, they love that because they're like, wow, it's
It's
not
true.
lies. It's
No,
it's a real story.
no, it isn't. And there is maybe there's a small amount of luck, but overall, it's really only the hardest working ones that get all the way. It's
Yeah,
just the way it is. And
that's
maintenance is a big part of it. Some parents I've in the past would be like, you can't tune the instrument at the beginning of the lesson. I'm like, well, that's part of the learning. You have to be able to tune the instrument.
yeah,
Just
yeah,
because we didn't start playing a song, not that the student's even ready yet, that doesn't mean we're not learning. Just me talking to a student is learning, and the same for you.
yeah. It's
So
that to the tuning. You have to tune your
you have to be
instrument.
able to tune the instrument. Yeah, I think
Before
anyone
you play.
watching will agree with that.
Eh, eh,
So you told me a long time ago that you just played with your thumb for a while until you dreamt about using your plucking fingers. Is this true? Did I remember that
Yes,
correctly?
that's correct. Yeah, it was a thumb or a thumb or a pig,
Right.
trying to play the pig. But now, so yeah, everything I was playing with my thumb. Yeah, yeah. Like
Right.
I was trying to do some adjustment, not really much slapping like.
Right. Right.
That came later, but most of what I was doing,
Just thumb plucking. Right. Right.
yeah, yeah, like so I'll play like that. But and then one night sleeping, and then I dream this person without a head. I just
Yeah.
see the hand, everything. The thumb was resting on top of the lower string,
Right.
playing. So I woke up and I remember that, and I tried
Wow.
to like get my finger walking, and then the song instead of because
Right.
the tone changes, so
Yeah.
this one, and then the notes I started to hear like longer notes instead of the shorter notes or the muted thing, and I just stay with the okay. Then I play around with it. All the songs that I was playing with the thumb, so I had to change to play with the
You had
fingers.
to switch it over.
Yeah,
Right. But your
yeah,
thumb is so strong because of it. I mean, you've got one of the best thumbs in the business by far. It's incredible. The
yeah.
tone that you get, especially, is incredible.
Yeah, especially now doing the slapping stuff, like I can, I can do the triplets.
Yep. Yep. It's a whole groove. It's a whole groove. But I mean, the tone that you're getting really is on every recording that I've heard you slap. It's really something, man. And you can tell that you worked on this a lot because a lot of people don't work on it a lot before presenting it. I was never happy with this for a long time.
Yeah,
I wasn't ready. You know.
because you have to hear it and you have to balance it, not too bright, not too muddy.
Right.
You have to find that sound. Like all my basses, I get a really good slapping sound. Sometimes I can slap the whole song,
Right.
just without losing any quality, and
Yeah, it
still,
doesn't have to be, a slap song. Like, you could
yeah,
still get your tone. Yeah, I know exactly
yeah,
what you mean.
yeah.
You
And
got to deal it.
there was a guy like that from level 42, Mark King.
Yeah, Mark King.
I mean, that guy was unbelievable
I
to
know.
play like that. The whole song, even the whole record slapping.
And he's a singer too, so
Yeah, and singing on
that was a
top.
big
Yeah.
deal. It's kind of a big deal.
But all that stuff works together with the amp, the bass, preamp, and okay, what do you want to do? How is it going to sit with the bass drum? The bass drum, if it's too muddy, find a way of matching the bass drum sound.
Right. Yep, you got to find a way to, and that, yeah, maybe that's an engineer's job, but they don't always have an engineer. So you gotta make it happen.
Yeah, sometimes, you work with a drummer. Like, I mean, I've worked with some amazing drummer, Steve Gadd for so many years.
Man.
And, I work with Buddy Williams in different occasions. And Jonathan Joseph played with Weather Report. He plays a little different than other people. So, like every drummer, I adjust to their style of, what they're doing. If the hands is like really fast, but, everything but it's in the pocket. So I have to find a pocket that's going to match it,
Yeah.
match the pocket. So I'm learning too because I'll put that together, not come in and say, hey, my pockets.
This is me.
Hey,
Yeah, yeah, right. It doesn't work that way. You have
no,
to
no, no,
match.
no. You
Yep.
adjust. You adjust.
Definitely, man. So, I want to before we kind of get into
Yeah.
the meat and potatoes of Graceland, because I do have some questions, and I think a lot of people do. I'm very curious about how it all happened. You had said something a long time ago to me, and I want to see if maybe it was when you said you were stuck for 16 months or 8 months in different locations of Soweto, which I read is Southwest Township. Is that what that really means?
No, this 16 months was in Zululand.
Oh, Zululand. Okay, okay.
Yeah, it's, like, let's see, from Soweto is like about probably 7 hours
Oh, okay, okay. So because
going north and
you
then Zimbabwe. Yeah.
you had mentioned that there was this huge tree that you were playing under every day when you were stuck at this one place. I don't remember where it
That
was.
was in Zimbabwe.
And you said it was around the time I was born, 1982. Is that correct?
Yeah, exactly. Wow. 1982, yeah. Yeah, that's
Incredible,
when I
man.
was stuck. That's when I was stuck in Zimbabwe, and then every time, because the weather was so hot in Zimbabwe,
Right.
like 5 o'clock in the morning, you gotta get up, and
Right.
so I used to, yeah, go and just sit under that tree and even secure the tree for the day because it's gonna be hell, man. It's gonna be hot,
Right. Right. You
and
need that, need the tree.
the house doesn't have the AC, so
Right.
you gotta be out. And so that tree was my savior. And
Incredible,
I'll
man.
sit there all the time. There was a connection with the nature too. It was not just playing, but it was the connection in the nature because that tree became my yeah my savior pretty much.
Yeah. It
And I'll
sounds like it.
sit there and it gives me the nice shade and comfort.
I put a tree on the thumbnail for this episode for that reason, actually. You see the roots are in the ground and the
Yeah,
bass is there with the drums, and then the top of the tree has the the microphone and the accordion and the keyboard and stuff, right? So, all right.
yeah. It was deep. And then the thing get into Zimbabwe and they just won the independent.
Oh wow, nice.
Yeah, it was also a little scary, not understanding the politics side of it.
Yeah, and you
Like,
were just
oh
stuck
wow,
there.
independent. Yeah, now we stuck in Zimbabwe and it's like everybody's celebrating. And what is the celebration?
I didn't even know.
I didn't expect that, but it was interesting because at the time South Africa was going through some really difficult changes. So being in Zimbabwe was like a relief. And there was some happiness. Everybody's happy, so you just join the happiness and become happy.
Yeah. Well, you've spread your happiness to a lot of people. You really have. And I read in some interview, I think it was Bass Magazine Online, from right after you released your most recent album, What You See Is What You Hear. You were
Yeah,
talking about how, you see homeless people everywhere you go, and like, hey, I was just like you, and just keep going. You're going to make it. You bring them some food.
yeah,
You
yeah.
said some really nice things, man.
I was finding the story that matches my story, and then just feel really good because I was homeless pretty much, when I started. Once I left my house, I was, living everywhere.
Yeah.
So seeing the homeless, I have to talk to them and I have to give them something, like I'm looking for the laundromat. And then, I talk to the guy, hey, so why are you on the street?
Yeah.
People will tell me all kinds of stuff. But at the end of the day, I said, man, go buy yourself bread and then sometimes give up my clothes that, I don't wear until I buy some new stuff.
Yeah.
But, that just taught me not to, forget people and always be there because playing the instrument for me, it's when you go on, it will stay. You can't take it with you, but it's just that we have to remind ourselves that everything that we have, it's a gift and things that they borrowed us because use it the right way and then live it the way you find. You know, I cannot boast about the instrument like I'm better than anybody. I'm just grateful that I can do what I can do and I can survive with the instrument, but I'm not better than anybody. I'm just fortunate and I'm just so lucky. But also too, I put a lot of work
You're right.
to to do
Almost your
that.
entire life.
Yeah, yeah, that was the only thing that I knew, and I had to hold on and like, man, no school, you don't have money to go to college, you don't know what the college is.
Yeah.
But
What's
for me
college?
to
Right.
go to
Right.
college now, see my daughters, and then go to speak at my daughter's college or play, it's like wow, I didn't think we'd get this far, but now it's here, so that means everything that I've done, I can be able to share. But it's a gift that we were all given,
That's right, man.
and
No, it's true,
everybody's
and you
got
just have to just have faith in yourself and make sure it happens,
yeah,
because everyone's got gifts. We all have it. We're just, unfortunately, we're kind of trained to suppress them or just forget about them. Like, your dreams are unimportant. You need to go get that 401k right now, and who
yeah,
knows if that's even going to be around in 5 years. So
yeah,
I think a lot of people are starting to realize it.
yeah,
Not that they need to necessarily try to be homeless right away, but that you have to pursue your dreams, and there are ways to do it, and you
yeah.
really can be anything you want.
not everybody's gonna be like you know, when I go to the township this time, this trip going back to Soweto and looking, I said, man, I changed that when I was young because I said, listen, I don't think anybody's thinking the way I'm thinking. My thinking is to change this. I want to move forward. I don't want
Mm,
to be in a place where it's depressing. Even if you try to do good, but you wake up every day, see everybody's depressed, and now you're down too. No, no, I don't want to be part of that. I want to go where the light is, and follow the light. And I follow the light, and I learn as I follow the light,
that's
you
beautiful.
know.
That's why I moved
Now
out of New
go,
York. That's
yeah,
why we
and
took the family out of New York, you know?
like for me coming to New York, it was like, oh, now you made it. Like this is a big light, 24/7. It's bright light.
Right.
So like, okay, I think this is where I belong.
Yeah,
I
the
belong.
lights.
I belong to you of the lights. But over there, they still have a problem. Load shedding. The musicians, they can't control the electricity, the power, and nobody's speaking. Very, very interesting to say why we having a load shedding. And if somebody's stealing the copper or all those things, they should
Wow.
speak up and say, look, let's stop this.
Yeah.
But everybody's desperate, and the bad people they steal to sell to make money, and the people are struggling. The power just goes off. Like my son's house, there was a time when 9 months no electricity,
Nine
and then it comes
months.
and then it comes in for like a week or 2 weeks, and then it's gone.
Wow.
But two, nobody's gonna pay for the electricity because nobody has a job. So the
Right.
electricity is a new thing. My time, there was no electricity. You depend on the candle. So when you practice, there's a little car battery, an old car battery. You practice just to get your fingers moving, but it's like,
Wow.
it was a disaster.
Oh man. Yeah, my dad in Colombia had no electricity either. Really didn't have any running water
Yeah,
or
use
not
the
definitely didn't have a
generator.
warm shower, that's for sure.
Use the generator, and then we have the gig, like the stuck in Zululand, we have a generator. Sometimes it's not working, you gotta buy the gas. You playing
Oh,
the gig, and then all of a sudden the generator get
generators
quiet,
out.
so the gas station is closed.
Oh man. All right. So, like we said, you have your BGAG life, where before Graceland, after Graceland. So, how did Paul Simon find you exactly? How did this all happen?
Well, it happens because of respecting the traditional music of my people. I played on those recordings not thinking like, one day somebody big, you would listen to this music and want to do something.
Right.
So, yeah, like I said earlier, like I get involved with the Sutu music, I learn their music, play the session, like the Shona music, the Zimbabwean music, and I learned that music. And the bass that I played, of course, just made it different because it didn't sound like any other sound. And so playing on those traditional songs like The Boy in the Bubble and you know Diamonds, that's where I got an opportunity because when they had this bass sound, Paul was very interested. Like, wow, what is this? And then so you can work things around that. Like, when you write a song, it's going to be based on that, that kind of sound. And the bass was the foundation of everything. So when they called me to come to the studio, I had no idea, what was going on. Now I was working as a mechanic in the meantime, having my bass. During the lunchtime, I'll play my bass, but and I got a call to say, they're looking for me in the studio. I'm like, wow. At my job, and I'm working as a mechanic, just helping, the mechanic,
Yeah.
running and get all stuff, hammer, all everything go get the hammer, go get this, that, all day. But one day says, hey, they don't want you in the studio. This man, Paul Simon, was Paul Simon.
Who's Paul Simon? Yeah, right. Out of nowhere.
Yeah, man. And for me, it's like, all right, I will go. I will go. And I went to the studio. It's a different adjustment because now you come to the studio, you don't know if everything's going to go well, but what do? You just say, let me read what's going on. play what's needed. Don't panic. Don't try to overdo it. All the thinking, me, I think all the time, like this is a different project, so I'm just gonna follow the instruction. I'm here to learn,
Yeah,
also to not and be comfortable because I got my instrument. I got something. So they like what I got, so I can just work on that and just clean up the mess. And then it just got better every day. Every time I'm in the studio playing, and they love it. And then I listen back and I said, "Oh man, this sounds so good." So it's giving me some ideas to stay with it
right.
because it's there now. If I'm not hearing it, I'm gonna try to go the wrong direction. But it's right there. So I just stay with it, and as we're recording, and it just got better.
For
And
sure.
just move forward, man. The next thing I was on the plane going to New York and record more stuff.
Right,
That's
because
when
you
I,
finished your recordings there, right? Like
yeah,
Ladysmith, Black Mambazo was there and stuff in New
yeah,
York.
everybody was there. Yeah, yeah.
What is your relationship with them? They're unbelievable, and they're still doing it, right?
They're still doing it. Actually, we have a show coming up March 10th. I'm,
Really?
I'm gonna be opening the show for them, man.
Oh, nice, man.
And
Amazing.
it's funny. We've been doing a lot of recordings, while they're on tour. Sometimes we go to the studio. And then I went to visit them. They were at the Dolly Parton studio. It's called the Dollywood or something.
Dollywood, yeah.
Yeah, and then we went to visit them and we spent a couple of days. They're my friends, because the father was my friend,
Right.
but the boys, Joseph's sons, so they became my friends, and so I'm excited to open the show for them.
That's amazing. I think they prove how important singing really is, no matter what instrument you play. You
Yeah,
do need to be able to sing something, even if you don't think you're a good singer. It makes a humongous impact on your musical life and on in your soul. It makes it a big impact on your soul too. When you sing, you resonate your entire, skull and your skeletal
you're telling the
system.
story. You're telling the story. You don't worry about how great you want to sing or your voice is polished. No, sing, tell the story.
Yep.
Tell the story. Your voice is your shield. And it's what you fight with. And but Lady Smith Black Mambazo has been their tradition for so many years because it's a gospel music that
Right.
was used back in the minor days. Where the miners weekends, that's how they entertain their families when they come to visit them. They dress up and sing the a cappella stuff and make
That's
this
cool.
happen. So
I guess the US equivalent is what the songs they would sing when they would bang in the railroads. They had like
yeah,
their rhythmic
yeah,
stuff. It
it's
was the
it's
same
similar.
idea. Same idea.
It's
Yeah, yeah.
the same idea. It's yeah, because without singing, man, it's gonna be a long day.
So, I mean, you've been to every continent, I assume. What, what, what was the most surprising thing about going from continent to continent? Was there anything that was really surprising, or were you kind of getting prepared for it mentally overall?
It's learning, it's
Mm,
learning what everybody's doing. Every country, they do things different. So you're not trying to tell them, oh, this is wrong. You kind of learn because you're going to be the wrong one because you're just a visitor. You're there for like 3 days or so.
right,
But it's a beautiful thing, and I'm glad that we did that for so many years, and land being in a different place. The culture is different, the food, the love, and just everything. You become those people. Every
right.
place I go, I become the local people. And if I have 5 days, then I rent a bike and I'm like riding. Like in Amsterdam, everybody's riding their bicycle, so you're
Right.
part of that. But you have to know where you go because you are a new person. So, but
Sure.
but you learn and adjust and enjoy them too. Because the world, it's for all of us. It doesn't matter where you're born or where you're going, but it's
That's right.
you respect that culture and then take it with you. Now I come home and I can try dishes that I learned from those countries and enjoy
That's
my home.
cool.
And I have a piece of every country that I travel. I buy a little cup or something.
Yeah.
that I can bring with me. And then I look at this every day and say, yeah, man,
Oh,
that
that's
was nice
amazing.
when I was there, like, and that stayed with me for a long time. And pictures, we have
Yeah.
pictures, videos.
Oh, great.
It's a beautiful thing, man. It's a beautiful thing.
Speaking of being the wrong person, Paul Simon went through a little bit of hell just putting this album together. How did anyone even know he was showing up to record an album? There seemed to be a lot of pushback from certain people to get him out of there. What are you doing here? How much of
Yeah,
that story can you tell right now? That there was a lot going on over there.
yeah, well, it's because when nobody understands what other people are doing,
Mhm.
you won't understand. Music is music. No matter who you play with, only musicians can understand, but the other side, they don't understand, and musicians don't understand what they're dealing with, what exactly they're doing. Like for us, then for me, it was not about those people. It was about the music and the
Sure.
opportunity, that I cannot do it for somebody who doesn't understand my craft, when I work so hard for my craft and then somebody's going to tell me not to do
Right.
that. But yeah, it was not some people understanding what was going on. But for us as musicians, we understood because it was a great way to introduce our culture and introduce us. So yeah, and it's a very simple answer for that because really,
That's
yeah.
something, man. Yeah. I know there was a lot of turmoil, and I was always curious. How far did
Yeah,
you end up traveling?
I didn't even pay attention of what everybody was saying because I really didn't understand and
Right. Right.
why they don't have a right to tell me what to do. This is, and they have no right to tell anybody. First of all, they can't play a note or anything, so leave me alone.
Yeah. I just
Let me,
wondered, was the band ever stopped at the door? Like, you guys aren't doing this anymore. Did that ever happen, or
no,
you
no,
guys avoided any kind of problems the whole time?
no, yeah, yeah.
Wow.
Some people they pay attention. Some people didn't pay attention. I just Yeah, I mean, I didn't see it was a problem. It was just like, hustling and trying to get more for themselves,
Mm, sure.
because, people, they do that. Most they take from musicians or people and use them to say, hey, look, I want to do this for you.
Right.
Oh, okay, do it. When it's
Yeah.
time to do it, they take from you, like, hey, you promised me, but where is that?
Uh huh.
But this was a good timing. It had to be political, but
Yeah.
if I was one of those people pay attention of and not even understanding the politics of it, why am I gonna just not do it? You
Maybe
know?
people were jealous that this was even happening and that you
It's
guys were
because they
selected to
didn't.
be a
No,
part
it's
of it.
the people that just wanted to take as usually people take
Yeah.
from people. So yeah, that was for me it was really stupid. But
Oh,
I didn't
definitely.
stop because of that. So I moved forward and then I got better.
Right.
You know?
Well, maybe we should mention one more thing from the Graceland now, because I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. There are not a lot of bass solos that people know, but you have the bass solo heard around the world.
Yeah.
And how did it all happen? I mean, yeah, I can play it, but I know that it isn't physically doable. So how did it
Man,
even happen? Did you like just mess around and they played it backwards? How did it happen?
well, yeah, yes, that's exactly, of course, the story's been out for a long time that the
Yeah.
thing was backwards. I just played it. The timing was right because when I asked about playing that, the timing was right. I didn't wait for a long time, and
Right, right,
I got a good answer for it. Okay, oh yeah, try. Then
right.
I tried the thing, and then but the engineer too, his timing was like, hey, wait a minute. This is great. Backwards, boom. It's all about the good timing,
Yep.
and I didn't plan it. I just said about what I wanted to do, and everybody says, "Okay, let's agree."
Right.
Sometimes you can say that, and everybody say, "No, that's it," and then it's gone. What you wanted to try, but for me, it was about man, just
It's
amazing timing, and it was just a trust. I trusted what I wanted to do, and the engineer trusted what he's going to receive or what
Yep,
he's going to
yep.
do to make my trust better. And then Paul trusted me to say, "Oh, you want to play something? Let's see."
Right. Let's see it.
And so everybody trusted each other, not say, "I want to play this," and I'm not sure if it's going to work out or not. It's all about the trust. It's all about sometimes it's hard to describe what
Oh,
everything,
sure.
but it was about the timing. You buy the lottery ticket, and then the next thing they call your name. You're like, "What? I
Yeah,
didn't
I didn't
expect."
win. No, I didn't win. No way.
Yeah,
It's
yeah, yeah.
That's funny because it's sort of like, is that really the answer? But that's studio magic. There it is. This is studio magic. This is how it works. You never know what it's going to be. You just you fill out the lottery ticket and you hope that they call you back. That's it.
It
You hope that
was
it
one of
bounces
those. It
back.
was one of those things that you want to come in. The gate is open. Just get in, and the gate is going to close as soon as you in. The gate is going to close, and the gate was closed as soon as I got in. Now
Right.
that says that every bass player is going to hear this song, and you hear this, like, oh wow, what the hell is that?
What is that?
And then people are going to want to try. And for me, it's like a blessing that I play something that everybody's trying.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody's selling everything. You have to see other bass players, they come in with some difficult tapping things, and people, they learn and they do it. But for me, that I played, then, it's a song. It's in the song. It's not just like a bass solo.
Right.
It's in
It's
the
part of the
song.
song.
So it's
Yep.
part of the song. Even though you play for a wedding group, you know,
Yep. It's
and you
it.
play
It
the group,
belongs.
and then when it comes to that solo, it just belongs there. It's like, oh wow,
Right.
I played every night when we were on tour.
Of
Every time you
course.
come to that point, man, people, they wait for it, and when it comes, man, it's massive. My engineer pushed the thing
Oh,
so
sure. He's gonna blast you, right?
so loud. It says, "You own this, buddy." And yeah,
Amazing.
one time, I don't think I can repeat that. You know, I'm not even thinking about it because I done it one time, and that's it, man. Like I said earlier, plan A, there is no B for me. It's plan A, everything. It's the first time.
This is why it has worked out for you.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
it. Yeah. There's maybe there was a tiny bit of luck. Maybe I don't think so. It's easy to say that, but this would not have happened if you didn't completely 100% focus your entire life to this. Your intention was there. You were spiritually 100% connected with it, and you never stopped. And you kind of already knew what was going to happen before you even started. You're like, this is where I'm going. This is what's happening.
yeah,
And then it happened because of that.
yeah. And it was God sent, man. Because too, we don't do things thinking like, yeah, I'm pushing myself, and
Uh-huh.
but there's a reason. There's something that's pushing you to make you you. So, and when you see that, you get that, then you try to work on that. Like, I have a support, I have a support. I see that, I hear that, and I feel it. When you feel it, man, it's all good, man. It's all smooth. But if you don't feel it, it's a fight because you're gonna try to find it.
Well, I think that's the ultimate lesson here. You've been a teacher. Just by saying that, we know you're a teacher. That says it all, man. I think that's a great way to end this. As a matter of fact, I really appreciate you coming on.
Man, thank
Thank
you,
you.
and congratulations, Ben. It's I was always proud of you, and your playing, it's beautiful, man. I remember the first time when you came in for a lesson, and I
Yeah.
said, play something, and you play stuff. I said, man, what am I gonna teach you?
Where are we going from here?
And I listened to you, and I watch your hands, and you can bend your fingers backwards. And
Right.
said, man, you got something special. Like these are the things that you have to recognize and work on it and say, wow, like I'm using my power. This is your power, and I
Right.
enjoy playing with, watching you play. And then also, like if like I couldn't do Allen Iver's kick, and I said, George, take this kick, and you did it, man. You know,
That was a
and
gift.
your friendship was beautiful, man, and your family, and I'm just happy for you for everything,
Well,
you
me
know.
too, man. I feel the same way. And you've given me so much. You've given me these unbelievable gigs. Eileen Ivers, Morris Goldberg. I met Dan Bailey because of you. That's a
Yeah,
lifelong friendship.
yeah.
It means the world to me. You trusted me. You believed that I wouldn't be late or lazy about it, and I wasn't. And
Yeah,
because I had the
because I knew
charge
you
hand.
were like determined to learn, and you already got something, and so you need more, you know. And I was very fortunate and blessed that I was there for you to, you know, to take this to another level. And I'm really proud of you, man.
Thank you
And
so much, man.
just keep it going, man. I'm really happy.
Of course, I thank you so much. You
You
have
too.
single-handedly changed my life. You did.
Thank you.
And it all started at the Guitar Shack, right? The little Guitar Shack. So
Guitar Shack, yeah, Ralph, man.
Ralph, man. So,
Ralph,
you know, that
yeah.
kind of brings it full circle. I actually did just start a bass player university, which I'm very excited about. Maybe you could be a special guest one day, who knows? And
Please, anytime,
oh
man.
yeah, man. Yeah, I got all kinds of stuff going on. I just released my first book, as a matter of fact. Might be doing a little giveaway on that. I've got news articles on the website. You know, my Rockfin channel is growing. The YouTube is stagnant. We'll see what happens with that. But you've graced me with your Graceland. You've graced me with your presence here, and
And
I'm
you
sure
know,
everyone is so happy to hear what you have to say, and we'll really enjoy this.
thank you, man. Thank you for you know, inviting me.
Of course. Thank you again, and we'll see you guys real soon. Plenty more where this came from. I hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you next time.